Coming up on Bridgewater This Week, a 1-2-3 punch.
Seen anything like this?
Bridgewater cleans out from 3 nor'easters. From filling soup cups to backpacks.
You know, every day there's another gift from somebody or from upstairs that's put in my path. And there's a lot of people out there that want to help.
The generosity across the region and what it means to the soup man.
Your MASCAC champions!
And March Madness is here. BR and BSU look to bring home championships. These stories and more are coming up. Bridgewater This Week starts right now.
Residents are still cleaning out after our third nor'easter in less than 2 weeks. Thank you for watching our March 16th edition of the program. I'm Scott Olson.
I'm Tyler Chrisman. A trifecta of nor'easter hit New England over the past couple of weeks. Storm number 1 featured nearly 6 inches of rain and wind, gusts comparable to a Category 1 hurricane, knocking out power to nearly the entire town of Bridgewater and knocking down trees and fences, making for some dramatic photos and videos.
This is our yard, and we lost that part of the fence, we lost that part of the fence, we lost our little, whatever that thing is called. And I wouldn't be surprised if we lose a couple more trees because these trees are not handling this wind well. Gazebo's still up though.
While we saw wind and rain, the coastline of New England was battered with flooding from the North Shore to the South Shore, prompting boat rescues, and there were still 2 storms to go.
That's right. The next storm was maybe the quietest of the 3, starting off as rain. However, we saw a changeover to heavy snow that piled up on roadways, trees, and more importantly, power lines. However, we didn't see the dramatic power problems that we saw with storm number 1.
That's right, Tyler. Maybe it's a situation of the best for last for Mother Nature, with a snowfall of nearly 2 feet of snow on March 13th. Travel was nearly impossible with blizzard-like conditions, causing school cancellations in both Bridgewater at the regional and the university. According to Bridgewater Police, nearly 3,000 residents were in the dark at the height of the storm, but the police department only received 50 storm-related calls. Some residents may be having flashbacks to the snow blitz from a few years ago. But what causes a storm outbreak like this? Is this the new norm to get blasted with storms in a 2 to 3 week span? Jeff Fowler has more.
At the February 27th meeting, the Town Council approved their 9th member while hearing about school safety. John Luck has more.
Fred Chase is the newest member of the Town Council. The seat has been vacant since December after Dr. Kevin Perry stepped down.
It was in December, I believe, when President Fitzgibbons had noted for the council that the seat was to be vacated by Councilor Perry, at which point I believe the town clerk was instructed to solicit interest from District 4 citizens, which during about the first week of January I did. I think that that particular provision exists for the purpose of assuring continuity in the representation of each district in the town. I think it is incumbent upon the council to not necessarily just rely on that particular proviso that yes, they can allow a vacancy to exist, but instead it seems to me that the council should be more concerned about assuring representation for each of the districts. It's not an at-large seat, it is a district seat, and I think that even for the sake of a number of meetings, it would be helpful and proper for the residents of District 4 to have a representative in the position.
Mr. Chase seems eminently qualified, as qualified as any of us were coming to this seat. And we asked for volunteers. And so it would seem, however few meetings we have left, it would just seem just kind of to ruin our credibility as a body, and also to send a kind of discouraging message to citizens that we're going to put out this call for volunteers to this position, and someone's going to volunteer, they're going to be eminently qualified, and we're going to say, well, no, we changed our mind. If we didn't want to fill this position at this later date, we shouldn't have advertised it. And the fact that we did, I think, compels us to approve Mr. Chase.
Mr. Chase will be sworn in at the next meeting. He will represent District 4. The council voted to fill that vacancy 6-1. March 14th marked 1 month since the tragic school shooting in Parkland, Florida. Security prevented Bridgewater Police Chief Chris Del Monte and BR Superintendent Derek Swenson from discussing school safety measures, but the pair recently spoke about programs assisting their efforts.
It's an ALICE program that gets away from the traditional lockdown procedures that you see many schools still have in place throughout our nation. A is for alert, so you saw in recent events in Parkland, Florida, they called for a code red. Alice really truly believes in using real language to let folks know where exactly the intruder may be in a building rather than going through a code system. That allows folks to make decisions whether they should lock down and barricade or possibly evacuate the site. The L stands for lockdown. There is still part of this program, there's still the traditional lockdown, but really truly it's about lockdown and barricade. Basically locking down into a classroom, but also barricading with things within the classroom, desks, shelves, those types of things, because it's all about allowing our staff and allowing our students time for safety officials to arrive. Time is of the essence in those situations. C is for countering. This is one that has to be age appropriate. Obviously, it's about if a intruder were to happen to come into a building or to enter a classroom, they use what's called a swarming technique to try to bring down the intruder. Obviously, that's age appropriate. We're not going to be expecting our kindergarten and first graders to take that on, but some of our students, maybe at the secondary level and staff, can use some of those tactics. And the E is for evacuation. Again, using that real live language to let folks know there may be an intruder in the G wing at the high school. If you're in a wing that's not in close proximity at that point, that may inform you to say that maybe we can evacuate safely.
The Bridgewater Police Chief and the Superintendent credited the safety of the district with the working relationship of the district and public safety from both towns.
We enjoy a very good relationship. Our main function in the school system is to do what we can to provide the best school environment, the safest school environment. And so to that end, I can tell you for the last maybe 20 years or so, that relationship has blossomed, particularly in the last few years.
The annual town election is a little more than a month away, with the next deadline coming up on March 26th. That is the deadline to submit your nomination papers to the town clerk. The last day to object or withdraw is March 28th. The final day to register to vote is April 9th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the town clerk's office. The annual town election takes place on April 28th.
The candidates continue to file papers prepping for town election. The town clerk, Marilee Hunt, is running unopposed for re-election, as is Councilors Aisha Loesch, Tim Fitzgibbons, and Dennis Gallagher. Fred Chase will be sworn in the next town meeting. However, he will not be listed as a candidate for re-election. You can view the election calendar or list candidates online at bridgewaterma.org.
And in related news, BR students are supporting the students at Stoneman Douglas High School. They participated in a letter writing campaign to show students there that they stand with them. March for Our Lives events took place all over the country on March 14th, while some schools in Massachusetts had snow days. Residents are currently organizing a standout on the Common on March 24th from 9 to noon. The Bridgewater Police Department is benefiting from a grant to improve mental health. The grant will pay for a medical clinician to respond with police officers when responding to mental health calls. Bridgewater is one of 6 Plymouth County police departments working in a regional collaboration to pool their resources and improve the way law enforcement serves those suffering from mental illness. Police Chief Christopher Del Monte says that more and more often we are seeing crimes committed by those with mental health or substance abuse issues. Putting them in jail, and the court system in many cases doesn't get these individuals the help that they need. $45,000 will be awarded to the partnering departments for 3 years.
If there's something we have learned from Bridgewater's Soup Man, is that there are so many going without in this community. Volunteers from the area have been busy trying to fill that need with bag lunches and warm clothing. Alicia Fortin is in the studio with more.
This is all good. You couldn't make bad of it if you wanted to.
Last time we met up with Peter Kelleher, he was a one-man operation, dishing out his homemade soup to the homeless every Saturday. But it didn't take long for that simple act of kindness to have a ripple effect across the state. And Peter still can't wrap his head around it. On February 22nd, dozens of volunteers showed up for his second successful backpack night.
It's incredible, you know, to turn a horror show around like losing a son that I don't wish upon anybody.
After his son Travis passed away battling addiction and homelessness, Peter knew he wanted to help those struggling with the same fight. He began with soup, followed by gloves and warm socks. Now, it's backpacks full of necessities, all thanks to a growing community response to his profound act of kindness.
You know, every day there's another gift from somebody or from upstairs that's put in my path. And there's a lot of people out there that want to help.
And the donations continue to pour in, from the hats and gloves at collection boxes around the South Shore to the truckloads coming in from organizations like Ocean State Job Lot.
And different companies that have really stepped up to the plate. Lucini Bus, just to name two. And if you look on the webpage, you'll see the corporate givers. It's www.supportthesoupman.org.
While Peter's right-hand Pooch Koji supervised the sorting, volunteers stuffed the backpacks with toiletries, warm winter accessories, snacks, and messages of hope from area children.
Believe in yourself, follow your dreams.
We're making a difference, really. It's when I go out there and I feed these people the soup, and they watch my back. The soup man's here. I didn't ask for any of this, trust me, but I can't not run with it. We are official nonprofit. It went through fairly fast. We're all shocked.
Thanks, Alicia. When we return, TJ Squared is heading to the state championships.
We'll tell you just how many teams the robotics team defeated, plus the swimmer breaking records at the regional. We'll be right back.
145 over 92.
180 over 111.
182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest, and then a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a heart attack or stroke are far from invisible or silent. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed. Head to toe.
For this edition's Around the Regional, we're highlighting one terrific swimmer. Freshman Megan Kramer is BR's first Massachusetts state champion in swimming. She placed first in the 100-meter breaststroke and second in the 200-meter individual medley. Again, only a freshman. Probably even more records for her to break.
Probably more of her own. Did we mention that it was a Division I championship? Congratulations, Megan. It certainly doesn't feel like spring is around the corner, but the calendar says it is. So if you're looking towards your spring cleaning, BR wants to help. All schools throughout the district are now collecting textiles for recycling. This includes footwear, clothing, linens, accessories, and stuffed animals. Everything can be donated as long as it's clean and dry. Donation boxes are outside of each school in the district.
Today's Tech Now, and we're staying local. TJ Squared has advanced to the New England Championship Robotics event this April. Kyle Cardoza talks to the team about their season in this next report.
How's you guys' teams looking? How's the season looking?
So far, it's looking pretty great.
You could say that the TJ Squared team defeated 40 teams from across New England on March 10th.
If we can come out of this competition with not as many broken parts, that would be awesome. If we have a working robot by the end of this, I will be so happy.
Nothing to worry about there. The robotics team didn't face any mechanical failures during their district robotics competition. Bridgewater Raynham was transformed to host the first robotics competition. Robots, created by high school students, faced off in a game called Power Lap.
This year, the points are really based on time management. So there's 3 different things on the field that you can gain ownership of. Those 2 switches on each end of the field, and then there's 1 scale in the middle. And there's a thing called Power Cubes this year, and they are literally cubes that the robot has to pick up and move to different parts of the field and put in either the switch or the scale to gain ownership. And the more ownership that you have, the more points you gain and the more points you win.
This is the second straight year that TJ Squared won the district competition. They also earned the Quality Award and Volunteers of the Year Award.
Being their mentor, how is it for you kind of overseeing them and seeing them like progress, grow, make mistakes, and just, keep on going with it?
So, yeah, I love watching them develop over time. Remember, kind of starting out, and they were doing a lot of learning, and they were making mistakes. And then, especially with these two students here, they're wonderful. They've learned from their mistakes. They're able to grow. And now they know that I make more mistakes, and they're telling me I'm wrong.
Does that kind of inspire you guys to do this in the future again?
Yeah, it really does, yeah.
Definitely. I want to pursue a career in something in engineering.
For Bridgewater This Week, I'm Kyle Cardozo.
One thing we've seen with all this rain and snow is that many houses aren't prepared for these nor'easters. Here are a few ways to protect your homes. 1. Get on top of the gutters. Make sure you clear your gutters of leaves and twigs that may have accumulated throughout the year. And buildup of debris stops the flow of water to the drain and leads to overflowing.
Step 2. Check your sealant. Make sure that any gaps or holes in the sealant surrounding your doors and windows are filled in. This will stop rain from seeping in.
Step 3. Be safe with electricity. Make sure that all electrical appliances are stored upstairs, where water is unlikely to reach them. If your home has started to flood, don't go near the fuse box and ensure that all sockets are covered and turned off.
Step 4. Cover air vents. Air vents are one of the most common ways that water finds its way into a home. If you know that you're in some heavy rain or at risk of flooding, make sure that you cover these from both the inside and outside with thick plastic sheeting. However, it is important to note that all vents should be uncovered during snowstorms.
Coming up next, John Luck recaps BR and BSU's March Madness.
And Mark McCreaner continues his own Oscar ceremonies. We'll be right back.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new. Oh, sweetie, what happened?
My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah.
Texting? Great.
Has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
Little pigs, let me in. Save your breath. Don't smoke cigarettes.
Welcome back. Time to take a look at sports this week, and we start off with the BR Trojans boys basketball team who took on Catholic Memorial in the first round of the MIAA Division I South Sectional Tournament. Darius Hippolyte had a slow start getting into foul trouble early on. However, the BR senior scored 11 of his 14 points in the fourth quarter as BR squeaked by in the 53-50 final in this 12-5 matchup. Tony Fernandez, Doug Alves Jr., and Sam Brown all had 12 points as BR survived for another game. The hometown team took on Newton North in the next round, and the Tigers were held scoreless in the first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. However, Newton North figured out its scoring woes and finally got some shots to fall and picked up the 66-59 victory, eliminating the Trojans from the postseason with a record of 15-8. Moving on to the girls team who clinched the OCL title in a great season, earning the team a first-round bye and the 5 seed in the South Sectional playoffs. The Lady Trojans faced Marshfield and it was starting to look like a cakewalk with BR up by 11 at the half. However, the Rams opened up the second half on a 7-0 run, but BR answered back with a 16-2 run of their own, capped off with a Marissa Bouvet's 3 as BR would eventually get the one-sided victory 63-37. Shannon Lynch had a game-high 12 points to set up BR against Oliver Ames in the 4-5 matchup. The Lady Trojans were up by as many as 15 in this game. However, Oliver Ames clawed their way back into the game, taking a 53-51 lead into the fourth quarter. That set up BR for a 10-0 run, sparked by a Kaylee Matalonis three-pointer as BR picked up the 61-53 win. Matalonis had 19 in the win, while her sister Kenzie had 10, earning BR a matchup against the top seed in the bracket, Newton South. Unfortunately for Bridgewater Rainham, they were taking on a team that hasn't allowed more than 40 points in their 22 wins this season. And this feat would continue on as BR would lose 65-36. Congrats to the team on a great season that featured a 16-game winning streak. Moving on to Bridgewater State and the men's basketball team, who finished the regular season at 16-8. That earned them a first-round bye into the semifinals of the MASCAC playoffs against MCLA. And we're going to start off in the first half as Rocky DeAndre tries out his Steph Curry impression with 3 of his 25 points to tie things up at 7. In the second half, it was a Rayshawn Ward three-pointer that got the scoring started to put the Bears up by 5. Then DeAndre with a long pass for Ryan Carney for 3. He was 5 of 9 from the three-point line. Then the Bears showing some transition play as we're going to look at the replay here. Carney to Rayshawn Ward to put the Bears up by 15, 68-53. Joseph Cardi with the capper as the Bears move on to the title game. 3 Bears stars finished with 20-plus points in the 102-93 victory. This was a game that was won at the free throw line as Bridgewater State hit 25 of 29 free throw attempts. Right after that game, everybody was huddled around the computers at the Tinsley Center watching the top-seeded Salem State Vikings fall to the Fitchburg State Falcons, earning the Bears another home game with a MASCAC championship and an NCAA tournament bid on the line. The Atlanta Hawks call their home the Highlight Factory. On this day, it was the Tinsley Center that turned into the Highlight Factory as Dimitri St. Louis blows up Nick Tracy's shot, and the block party continued on as Tyrell St. John gets blocked. And how about one more time as St. John gets his shot destroyed by St. Louis. So nice, let's see it twice. 3 blocked shots in the first 8 minutes of this basketball game. In the second half, it's an alley-oop pass from Rocky DeAndre to Rayshawn Ward for 2 of his 19 points. Dimitri St. Louis having his own personal highlight reel as he throws it down. Off the steal, Dimitri St. Louis coming into your house as the Bears are NCAA tournament bound with a win in the MASCAC championship game. Bridgewater State are your MASCAC tournament champions for the first time since the 2013-14 season with the 77-72 win. Ryan Carney was 5 of 7 from three-point land and was tied for a team-high 19 points with Rayshawn Ward. So next stop for the Bears was the NCAA tournament against the Ephs of William College. It was a close game at the half with Williams up by 1, but the Ephs turned on the burners and won the game by 11, 56-45, eliminating Bridgewater State from the NCAA tournament. Joseph Cardi posted a double-double with 17 points and 14 boards. 11 of those rebounds on the defensive side. The key stat in the 11-point loss for Bridgewater State was bench points, where Williams was a plus 11. Bridgewater State's women's basketball team qualified for the MASCAC tournament and earned a first-round matchup hosting the Fitchburg State Falcons, and BSU picked up the 20-point victory 67-47. Sean Melton had a game-high 14 points, while Jen White had 12 points of her own. The Lay Bears played Framingham State in the MASCAC semifinals, and the Rams won by 21-71-50. Kaylin Aguilar had 13 points off the bench, but Bridgewater State was just 2 of 21 from the three-point line, while Framingham State had 4 scores in double figures, as Lay Bears end their season at 11-16. The Bridgewater Rainham West Bridgewater Gymnastics team has a shot at defending its state championship crown by placing second at the South Sectionals with a score of 145.325 at Algonquin Regional High School on Saturday. BRWB qualified for the state championship. Since the top 4 teams advance to the state championship, joining BRWB will be Mansfield, who placed first with a score of 146.450. Medfield, Ashland, Dover, Sherburne at third place with a score of 143.675. And in fourth place was Medway, Holliston, Millis with a score of 140.550. And it's back-to-back for BR West Bridgewater, winning their second state title in as many years, finishing with a score of 144.475. Earning the top spot over Mansfield, which posted a score of 144.275, and Masconomet Linfield, which posted a 143.775. After a difficult performance on the bars, Olivia Keys had an overall score of 37.575, and Allison Silva had an all-around score of 35.050, sending the team to the New England Championships. And the team won the championship after their performance from March 10th with a score of 145.125. Sophomore Olivia Keys had a career-best 9.65 on the beam. Olivia Camino posted a 9.3 on the beam, and Jenna Bray scored a 9.2. For Sports This Week, I'm John Luck. Now it's time to send it over to the Hollywood Lowdown and BTV's own version of Billy Crystal, Mark Macrina.
Good evening and thank you for fighting past the nausea at my full body appearance here, and welcome to another edition of the Lowdown Extraordinaire itself, the Hollywood Lowdown. As you may or may not know, or either way, not really care, just watching this to kill time between those awesome nostalgia PSA we have in the news, which is pretty cool. The Lowdown has the fever. Oscar fever. They made me say that. You can tell by the sets here, huh? Or actually, it could be a real fever. I've been feeling pretty warm and have been sweating more than usual. But anyway, last time we gave out the nominations for Best Actor, so now, because I am very predictable, it's time to celebrate the top 5 actresses who I feel have gotten ditched at the prom. Not by the high school quarterback, but by the Oscars. So, without further ado, and remember, being nominated doesn't count, here is the list of Best Actress winners. All right, seriously, no drum roll this time? We talked about this the last time. Anything, I'm just going to keep doing this and you can come on. What? Get it? I do, yeah. You can go now. Okay. Go. Adrienne Barbeau. She's always been one of my favorites and does have herself a very strong following, especially in her horror genre. But I always felt that as an actress she had quite a range, and you can easily see that if you watch the following films. In John Carpenter's The Fog, she played Stevie Wayne, a strong leading lady taking on a dangerous mist with killer ghost pirates. In Escape from New York, again for John Carpenter, she played a hooker named Maggie, who was both beautiful and badass, and one of the few women to pull off a fro that would rival Pam Grier. Of course, who could forget her as the lovable but strong-willed daughter of B. Arthur on the TV series Maude, or if you like your Barbeau more sassy with a side order of hamming it up, check out her performance as Billy, an extremely annoying wife to Hal Holbrook in George Romero's Creepshow. And with a sexy, sultry voice like hers, or mine, not hard to see why she was perfectly cast as Catwoman in the 1990 spectacular Batman the Animated Series cartoon. Naomi Watts, a beautiful and very talented actress from the land of kangaroos and dingoes, who stole my heart after seeing her in, of all things, Tank Girl, as steampunk tech extraordinaire Jet. She was also a very compelling protagonist in the drama The Painted Veil as Kitty Fane. She steamed up the scene as Betty in the erotic thriller from David Lynch, Mulholland Drive, and has even graced us in some wonderful horror movies like The Ring and Funny Games. Most recently, she's returned to the world of David Lynch as a character in the new Twin Peaks reboot. And yeah, she was also in King Kong, but so was Jack Black, so let's not go down that road. Alfre Woodward. Another actress with incredible range, Alfre has had a chance to shine in many genres. Some of her standout performances include Lily, a colonist who takes part in an adventure with Captain Picard against the Borg on the hit movie Star Trek First Contact. She gives a powerful and moving performance as Mistress Shaw in 12 Years a Slave, and shows off her comedic side in hit movies like Scrooged, where she plays Grace, the poor secretary who has to endure Bill Murray's antics, and Audrey Williams, where she has to endure family in What's Cooking. Jennifer Jason Leigh. Another all-time favorite of mine, Leigh has had a variety of really excellent performances that seem to have gained only marginal success, but deserve so much more. In The Hitcher, she played Nash, a diner worker soon caught up in a cat-and-mouse game with Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. She was very powerful and moving as Kathy Bates's troubled daughter, Selena St. George in Dolores Claiborne, and also lent her more surreal and abstract style of acting shine in David Cronenberg's video game sci-fi thriller Extascens as video game guru Allegra Morgana. Her more notable roles include playing a psychotic roommate named Hendra Carlson in Single White Female, though she does kill a cat and tries to kill Bridget Fonda, so I suppose she's not all bad. And more recently, she gained not an Oscar, but the Academy's attention in her role as the silent, for the most part, but intriguing Daisy in Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight. CCH Pounder, and no, not just because of her awesome name, though in truth that does help, but seriously, she's always been a favorite of mine and has gained a cult following notably for her work in horror and thriller movies. Her presence has always been one of command and strength, the kind of actress who can walk into a room and automatically take charge of any and all situations. Some of my favorite roles with her include the one-armed motel owner who kicks a lot of demon ass in Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, She's also memorable as a brave and tenacious radio disc jockey named Fran Ambrose, who tries to save Norman Bates from himself and the voice of his mother in Psycho 4: The Beginning. Other roles include a gruff lieutenant named Marge Francis, holding her own against Arnold Schwarzenegger, no easy feat, in the movie End of Days. And she also lends her voice to many DC animated movies, playing the unflappable Amanda Waller, the only woman who can teach Batman a thing or two about ruling people with fear and strategic tactics. And who better to voice a character like that than C to the C to the H? And there you have it, the winners of my own personal little award show playing in my head along with circus music and visions of bearded pigs line dancing. If you haven't seen some of the movies mentioned here, may I suggest you stop binge watching a Netflix original for a couple of days and check out some of these movies and performances. And if you haven't seen any of the films mentioned, you live under a rock and may as well trade in your shirt buttons and join the Amish now. Tune in next week as we conclude our Oscar theme with my choice for overall absolute, without a doubt, underappreciated best film. For the Hollywood Lowdown, this is Mark Macrina saying nobody cares what you're eating, so stop posting about it.
Thanks, Mark. I guess that's why we watch the real Oscars.
Yeah, most definitely. To your news and notes now. The Bridgewater Garden Club is now offering their annual scholarship to students planning to major in one of the following areas: agriculture, botany, civil engineering, conservation, earth science, ecology, environmental engineering, forestry, horticulture, landscape architecture, marine biology, or urban planning. The deadline is April 2nd. The Spring Plant Sale and Holiday Green Sale help the Garden Club to raise money for the scholarship. The deadline is April 2nd of 2018.
The 4th of July Committee is looking for the public's help with the annual T-shirt design project. The design should be patriotic, include Bridgewater and 2018. All entries will be posted on the 4th of July Committee's website and must be submitted by April 15th. You can submit your design to lisa@bridgewater4th.com or mail them to P.O. Box 390, Bridgewater, Mass. 02324. That's all the time we have this edition of Bridgewater This Week.
We hope you'll join us again for our March 30th edition of the program. For now, I'm Scott Olson.
I'm Tyler Chrisman. Thanks for watching.